Following is coaching analysis from Coach Cris Mills. Cris is the founder of the Surf Athlete app, an app that I use and thousands of other surfers have used it. It's really helped me come up the surf progression curve, and I'm stoked that they are the first official sponsor of my show. Cris was gracious with his time. He leads boat trips around the Mentawais and other world-class surf destinations, and he has well over 10 years experience as a world-class surf coach. So I was grateful for his time. Cris does a great job of explaining things in terms of the physical body and how that translates. He does a really good job of thinking from first principles. So for those of you that are more science-based and really like to get into the nitty-gritty, I think this surf analysis will be the right one for you. As always, if you take any benefit from these coaching sessions that I put online, please make sure to like and subscribe. My goal is to give you guys the best possible information on helping you progress your surf learning curve. That's it. Thank you for watching and enjoy the show.
So my primary background's training and rehab, right? So everything starts from like an orthopedic standpoint. So again, going back to that neutral stance or boxer stance, what it's doing is putting your skeletal system in a position where you can easily move up and down or rotate. Right. So that's what the relevance of that is, just so you have access to movement. So if you take the beginner stance, your nervous system wants to be stable and low. It's a nervous system firing pattern. So somewhere in the trajectory of surfing, people have to break out of that and again start getting more front on directed. So into that fighter stance so the body can move three-dimensionally more easily. And again, if you think, I'll take it back to a golfer. If you try to swing a golf club but don't allow your pelvis to move, it's the weirdest looking swing, right? That's how a lot of people will end up surfing. Just this
Mm.
weird kind of hinged, bent over torso. Whereas soon as if you can coil in both directions, start letting your pelvis on the backswing, pelvis moves, and on the front swing, pelvis moves, that is your surf stance. So it's really getting that pelvis and spine oriented forward so that the hip joint and knee joint can start coordinating movement. So yeah, totally relevant. And then the slowing things down is really important because, speaking from running lots of coaching camps now, people are too accustomed to seeing high level surfing, which looks really, really fast to them because it is. Those surfers are moving so fast. But what people discount is still the time it takes to lay down a full rail carve. It's still this one, two, three. Where in people's minds, it's this super fast movement. So their surfing becomes really erratic. They don't actually ever give the time for a rail and a surfboard to come around. Like it takes some time, unless you're doing a vertical snap. It takes time for a 6 foot surfboard to do a full kind of like rail wrapping carve. So that slowing down is it's this disconnect between people's perception of what surfing is and how it feels to them. Because if they're moving really fast, it feels like they're doing rad shit, but it's not ever actually giving the board or the
Yeah.
wave enough time to actually move through positions. So yeah, no, those are legit. I think I wanted to know what had resonated with you because I either
Yeah,
wanted to help reinforce that or not like shit on it.
for sure. Yeah. One other thing, just as we're on it, the what Doug Silva said as a
Yep.
drill, having the hands in front, that was like, yeah, just crazy. The amount of benefit that had is just like so crazy, and
Sure.
particularly on my backside, when I was surfing the beach here, the like right-hander, and just having the intention of bringing this left arm forward to generate speed
100%.
on the backside, and it was like just night and day from surfing it a
100%.
year ago, like crazy.
So again, if we get this kind of beginner into intermediate spectrum, they're starting to transition to shorter boards, right? And so if let's say you're how tall are you?
6 foot.
All right. So let's say you're 6 foot and you're on a 6'0", and you probably weigh like what, 160, 180 pounds, somewhere around
Yep.
there.
Yep.
All right. So people are coming off of mini mows and soft tops and long boards, and those things don't move like they're bricks. They're just meant to go straight. And as you start to transition to shorter boards, they become way more maneuverable. So I'll often equate like a short board, a standard 6.0 short board. I'll just say that it's a Ferrari. And imagine getting in a Ferrari and all you've ever been accustomed to driving is a Ford F-250. And suddenly you're in a Ferrari with a super sensitive clutch and gas pedal. So any subtle movement of your feet on the pedals is going to have a lurching effect on the surfboard. Whereas in an F-250, you can get away with it, right? The thing's just, it's off-road, it's carnage. So people get onto, they start moving towards shorter boards and they need to start understanding that control, I call it the shoulder line, right? Control, because the torso, if you start controlling the torso,
Mm,
but you control the torso by controlling your arms.
right.
So any deviation of an arm changes the torso. And if you're 6 foot tall over a little 6 foot foam surfboard, any change of your torso, therefore your center of gravity and your weight, even if it's a little, just a few degrees of the shoulder line, is going to transmit exponential forces into the surfboard. So as soon as people can start controlling the arms, it's cleaner communication with the surfboard, right? Because if arms are going around, I always call it the balloon man, right? The car sales lot balloon man arms. Like you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's just sending chaotic information to the surfboard. It wants to go this way, then this way, then this way. Whereas if the arms can start to slow down, get in front. So now you're helping to coordinate that front on boxer stance position. And then you start coordinating the arms and controlling it more. So you're sending cleaner information to the surfboard. That's how that's how better, cleaner surfing starts to develop, in my
Sweet.
opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool, cool. So I'm gonna, you don't mind if I screen share, do you?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Oh, good. See my screen?
Perfect. Yep.
All right. So you've had some really good coaching feedback already. And those things alone, arm control and kind of that front on boxer stance, especially the arm control, that stuff can be worked on for the next 6 to 12 months. And what I think often people discount in the surf coaching world, because in the social media game, it's like 3 hacks to better turns and fix your pop up with this one tweak. People start to negate the need for time and repetition with surfing, right? And so often on our coaching camps, I tell people like, I'm working on the same things we're asking them to work on. It's just I'm doing it at more critical positions of the wave. And so when they're asking, like, what should I keep working on? I'm like, keep working on the same stuff we've had you working on the last 10 days. Do it for the next year because you're going to start to refine those things. So I'm going to probably give you some specifics, but probably some more overarching concepts to think about just so that can kind of help keep pushing you through the next couple years because, or not next couple years, the next couple 6 to 12 months because the arm control and the front on thing can keep being worked on henceforth with more and more refinement and then more and more nuance. So does that make sense? Yeah, like it's
Yeah, totally.
all the details. Oh, you should have had your elbow a little higher at this turn. That stuff helps for people at a certain skill level if they're highly technically proficient and can think in the moment about really precise things, or people need more broader generalizations that they can keep on feeling and developing and feeling and developing and getting the repetition in. So the one thing I kept seeing coming up is it often looks like your back foot's too far forward.
Yeah.
And so the one thing I'll say about that, two things. One, if you don't have tail pads with a raised middle arch, start getting tail pads with a raised middle arch
Okay.
because you need, go ahead.
A raised middle arch. I don't know if I know what you mean by that.
So you know how a general tail pad comes in three pieces, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
the middle bit and then the two outside bits.
Mhm.
That middle bit, some tail pads are flat all the way across. Now they all
Yeah.
have the wedge in the very, very back.
Right.
But some with that middle piece have a
Yeah.
raised up middle bit. So it's
Gotcha.
this little that middle arch. So again, in surfing development, when people are changing boards, their surf stance, their width of their surf stance is usually already ingrained in their nervous system, but where that stance gets placed on a board is still changing because they went from a 7.6 to a 7.2 to a 6.10, like whatever the process might be. So they're still figuring out foot placement. If that middle arch will give you a tactile sensorial feedback and awareness of if your foot's in the right spot. And if it's not, you need to start changing it. Changing back foot
Cool.
position is really easy. So just like you'd been told about that front on stance lets you put weight on the front leg, which is really important for developing surfers and realizing the athletic stance being centered over that front leg. So if you can get on top of that front leg, it's literally as simple as just moving your back foot further back. That's it. Lift it and move it back. If you start watching really progressive surfing, they're constantly moving that back foot around. And
Yeah.
even like Rasta will talk about on twin fins and stuff, moving it left to right. That's pretty advanced, but at least front to back. So that's probably one thing that really stands out is that back foot position. So
Yeah.
get tail pads with a middle arch. Just because as you keep developing arm control, and then that goes into turns and your front on stance, so you can compress up and down vertically. That back foot position is going to either make a board come alive or just make it a dud. Like such a dramatic difference. And so in your surfing now, start becoming aware before you start getting into turns of if your foot is in the right spot.
Hmm.
So right here, you're at speed now, right? There's nothing super critical down here. It's starting to feather a little down the line, but you've got time. You've got space here where you and your brain could be like, do I feel the arch underneath my foot? If no, you've already got speed. You've got a moment here to change that foot position and to then start surfing. Because the more performance surfboards you get on, that back foot position will make or break a surfboard in terms of its maneuverability.
Nice. Yep.
All good?
All good.
The raised middle arch, bro. Even myself, like I have no tail pads that are flat all the way across.
Yeah.
I personally always want to feel if that back foot's in the right spot with that arch underneath it. If your foot's all the way back against the wedge, you know it's where it should be, but it's usually not all the way back against that wedge. It could still be forward a bit, but you'll feel that arch underneath your arch.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, because that back foot just keeps not being quite right.
Yeah.
The rear arm control, really good. Like I see that's an intention there.
Mm.
That's really, really good because it helps, like I talked about earlier, it starts to control the torso. It calms down the whole upper body. That's epic. And you're stacked over this front leg. So that front, I call it the coil or the stack. I'm looking for this alignment of over the front leg of this toe, knee, head. You're good there, right? So again, if we think a beginner, wide stance, their heads right in between their feet, we need to start getting into that athletic front on stance where that head is over the front knee and front foot. So you're in that coil. That's all good. See, this stance is great. This is great. It's hard to tell with the white tail pad, but I think that back foot still too far forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you see how your heels come off the board? That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. That back foot, especially on your forehand, needs to be maneuverable. Needs to where you can roll up onto the toe and
Mm.
the knuckle of the knuckle of the big toe in that kind of middle arch. That's perfect because that coil that I keep talking about, this stacking of your head over your knee over your foot. If you were to compress super low into a barrel crouch right now, the only way that would really happen easily on your forehand is if that heel rolls off the board. So you're on the front foot balance and then that back toe is still engaged. keeping that heel or the toe side rail engaged. That's going to be important for like getting barreled on your forehand, is that
Cool.
ability to compress and maintain that toe side rail engagement. That's really good, man. Style. Okay, so I talk about three components of a turn. Just to, again, I try to like dumb stuff down as much as possible. And people are either messing one thing up or all the things up. And so this was a scenario where you could have belted a turn. And I want you to start overcooking turns at times because I want to see you get reps in of feeling rail turns. And so I'll tell people I want you to like redline something. I need what usually is happening in surfing, it's all based on feel, right? Your sensory awareness and sensory feedback. I feel that felt good, that didn't feel good. The twist felt weird. I need you to feel what a full rail turn starts to feel like to the point where you blow it. Because if you take it all the way to the red line, then you can start backing things off incrementally and figuring out how much effort, how how hard, where, what part of the wave. So redlining things initially. I like the idea of surfing 80%, but at times I need somebody to feel full engagement, like the full expression of it, so then they can figure out what percentage needs to take place. But in terms of the mechanics, I'm going to bring up an Ethan Ewing video. Any questions out of any of that so far, dude?
No, it makes total sense.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, he's about to. Oh, I missed the first turn. Let me go back. There it is. Okay, turns. First off, it starts with the eyes. You can see he's already has gauged his head. He's starting to look into a turn, right? He's starting to look over the shoulder. So the first thing with a turn is starting to look. That starts to wind up the system, right? Human beings, like the way we evolved is to move, generally speaking, within our visual field. And so as I start coming up into a turn, I need to start seeing where I need to get to. And so I first just need to start bringing the eyes around. Then I talk about opening the door. So if you were to walk in a room, you need to look in the door, open the door, and then swing through the door. So that what I'm saying is you need to look, and now this lead arm needs to start opening up. It needs to open the door to give space for the rest of the body to come through. And what brings the rest of the body through is this rear arm driving through. So first, you look through the door, you open the door, or you can kind of combine those. Look and open, and then reach through the door. So he's opening, looking, and this back arm. If you really start paying attention in forehand turns, this back arm on really good surfing pretty much dictates where the board goes. You're almost always going to see an exact match of this back arm position and the stringer. Because where this back arm is going, it's bringing the whole torso with it and creating this spiral drive down into the rail. So for your turn, if we go back to your turn, and I'm just picking on this one, man. I'm sure you do better turns from time to time, but this is a good example.
Yeah.
Where are you looking? It's almost like you're going to do a little lip hit, which is fine. But did
Yeah.
anything with your look tell your board that you wanted to do a rail turn? Nothing.
No.
We didn't open the door, and we certainly didn't reach through with that back arm. So just think of those things. Look,
Yeah.
open, reach. Those things coordinate to create rotation into the body, and that rotation of the torso feeds into the surfboard. And you go right back to the surf stance, which is perfect, dude. Rear arm control. That rear arm needs to reach through. It needs to drive through a turn. Let me see what else we got. This isn't the reef, is it?
Not the outer reef now,
Yeah.
but I've gotten that pretty good since I've been here.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
This is great. Keep controlling the rear arm. Your stance position's solid. I think the back foot's still a little too far forward.
Yeah, most likely.
So again, these little turn opportunities here are really good chances. Always try to finish with something like on development, right? If the wave's ending,
Hmm.
finish with something that lets you kind of keep patterning something that you're working on. So yeah, this is kind of a little floater thing. You might be able to go up and smack it, but this is also a really good opportunity for you to drill through a turn of look, open, reach through. Start really just trying to feel what it's like to engage that rail. It doesn't matter if you fall here. The wave's over, right? It's done.
Yeah.
So those little end wave opportunities is just a good opportunity for you to try to feel something repetition wise of something that you're wanting to develop. Because initially, right now, that looking and reaching through with the back arm, it's going to feel weird. It's going to feel awkward. And so you just need to keep feeling it repetition wise to start getting the nuance and normalcy out of it. There you go. You started to move the back foot back a little, but it's too far forward still. So that could have done a turn there. So you see how your lead arm's closed
Yeah.
off. So your right arm, it's not opening. So I'd already say, if you were on the trip, right? I'd be like, okay, man, I want you to start trying to red line a turn, blow it. I don't even care if you come out of it, but I want to see you do a turn all the way back to where you're redirected at the foam. I want you to feel what it's like to set the rail and let it follow through. So you got to look, open, and then reach through with that back arm. Is that your 6.0, that surfboard?
Yeah, it's 5'10" actually. I need to get a bigger one. It's the only one I have right now.
That
The
was one of the better turns you've done. You see how you start to lose balance, right? I want you to get more and more reps in of the look, open up that lead arm. Progression is hold a cup. I want that arm up or that palm facing up of your right arm. Reason being, if I go to turn, if I go to
Yeah.
open this lead arm and my palm faces down, because of your shoulder mechanics, it jams up. Whereas if you hold a cup, if you go hold a soup bowl, palm up, because of shoulder mechanics, it opens up the ability to rotate further.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So hold a soup bowl, open, look, in that back arm flail. So really make a focus of reaching it all the way, your left arm, all the way through, man. You got to get that back arm. I'll tell people point. I want you to put up an index finger and get that back arm to point all the way back at the foam. Yep. So all these little things, you could first start just with looking and pointing with your back arm. Look and point, look and point,
Hmm.
look and point. Okay, I got that. I'm feeling that. Okay, now soup bowl, look, point. Soup bowl, look, point. Whatever dumb kind of cueing just gets it into your brain that you can kind of think about it in the moment that fires off the pattern.
Yeah.
So you bring it back. You do bring it back, but you still see how closed off that lead arm is.
Yeah.
One of the things, I'm glad you said something about a bigger board. One of the things I was going to say, better. That was the best one you've done. So all we would want to do here, your looks good, the rear arm's good. You could just open up that soup bowl arm just a little more because it's that spiral, right? Again, if we think of a golf swing, it's all coordinated through the arms leading the way. So this is really good in terms of you're matching the arms out in front, right? The arms are starting to coordinate.
Yeah.
Now we can understand that once the arms are coordinated and the rotations coordinated, then we start exaggerating the arm rotations to create more spiral down into the surfboard. That was a good turn. That was overcooking it. That was perfect. The more of those you can feel,
Yeah.
that like you feel how that was actual acceleration of the board. It looks like it took you by surprise. You can see where the board sped up right there.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
You need to feel that. You need to feel more of those because when suddenly the board accelerates, it's like, oh shit. That's what that board's designed to do.
Yeah.
Suddenly you put that board in a position where it started behaving the way that board's designed to behave. And so it comes down to this feeling and repetition. Feel more, feel more, feel more. But the feeling comes initially with, can you get the arms in the right position? Because then you need to become more familiar with how the board feels in those dynamic positions. The only other thing I really would have to say is I was going to across the board say that you need to be on a bigger board.
Yeah.
Reason being, generally, you don't do it too bad. You're not doing much like wiggle, right? You're starting to control the arms. You're in a good stance position. Short boards, especially under 6 foot, they can be shoved around. They can kind of be erratically pushed. Well done there, man, in terms of just waiting for wave energy. Nice. A nice little turn through that in section. So yeah, you don't do it bad. You're not doing any like terrible wiggling or anything for the most part, but a longer board doesn't need to be crazy. You said you're 6 foot.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe like honestly, man, if it was if you were on a trip with us, I'd say I want you on like a 6'2".
Yeah.
But the problem ends up becoming is that off the rack 6'2s might be too much volume for you. The reason being is if you get on a slightly longer surfboard, you can't shove them around as easily as you can like a 5'10". You have to start figuring out how to slow things down,
Yeah.
how to coordinate the body position, and you have to let the rail engage. And so very often on our coaching camps, we're putting people on like 6'2s, 6'3s, 6'4s because they have to, it forces them to start figuring out how to surf on rail. So if we go back developmentally in terms of surfing, if we go back a couple decades, the average surfer just started growing up and got hand-me-down surfboards from a brother or a neighbor or an uncle or whatever the case may be. So boards were always too big for them.
Mm.
Also, if you go back a couple decades, a short board was still like a 6'0, a 6'1, a 6'2, like those daggered out short boards, but with more length. And so I think that was really important for development of surfers because it took away the ability to shove a surfboard around like a little 5'11 because people start shoving it around and it feels like they're doing something because they're making the board move, but they're not moving the board around the way it's designed to be moved using the rail and the rocker. So if you get on a slightly longer surfboard, it's going to make you smooth everything out. It's going to make you draw everything out. It's going to force you to figure out how to put the thing on rail. Mind you, on a longer board, your back foot's going to have to be on the back foot tail pad for sure to make sure it's maneuverable. But that bit of extra length will just create, I think, in the long scope of things, cleaner surfing for somebody. And then when you get back onto like a short board, everything has become more controlled, more refined. The movement is more direct in terms of clean communication with the surfboard. And it just makes things look better. But there is the problem of, again, a 6'2" off the rack might be too much volume for me or for you. So like my standard shortboard's a 5'11", but nowadays I'm usually surfing a 6'0", 6'1", maybe even a 6'2", but I've got to all get custom built because I need like the volume of a 5'11", but I want it in a 6'1" or a 6'2". So that's where you might have to look around for some used boards, get something
Yeah.
new, custom, but
Yeah,
um,
sweet.
dude, those are the big things that stand out, man. Any questions, curiosities, considerations about any of that?
No, I don't think so. I think yeah, I think I sort of had that intuition of a lot of things you were saying, but it was nice to
Mm,
see sort of how you put it, which I think is actually this is like my first time these past few weeks of getting any like proper surf coaching, you know?
sure, of
And
course.
one thing I've really noticed is just hearing other people say stuff, even if you have
Dude.
an intuition about it, it's like a whole different thing. Um,
And the thing, a lot of surf coaches, we're trying to like convey the same thing. It's just different, really different ways of saying it, right? Because we're
Mhm.
trying to figure out a way to talk about such a fleeting feeling. And so I always try to come back to the mechanics of it and having like trained people for so long, these stupid cues that for some reason just work for people of
yeah,
open the door, like something they know how, oh yeah, like open it up and now hold a soup bowl. Now suddenly, oh shit, like it's, I can feel like I'm rotating more, it's just these dumb little cues.
yeah.
But yeah, man, hope it helped a bit, dude. And it's
100%,
been
dude. Yeah, thanks for taking the time. And hopefully I didn't
easy.
wake you up with that 3 a.m.
No, 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 no. I was
I had
asleep, man. I was asleep.
all
No
right,
worries, no
sweet.
worries. Did it all. Did
Yeah,
it all,
I
man.
fully had surfer's brain. I was like surfing all day yesterday and like your
All
message
good, man.
slipped, so I just shouted out. Yeah,
All good. No, I'm
sweet
not
man.
actually surfing at all lately. I gave myself a bad neck injury in the Mentawais in April, and so I'm
Mm,
probably another 2 months at least before I can surf again. Full blown like disc bulges, C5, C6.
damn.
Um, but yeah, yeah, dude. So
Was that
don't
it?
hesitate.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was
No,
gonna
what's up?
say, was that from on like landing on a reef or is it something like more muscular?
A lip. I caught a
Yeah,
lip. So I had already had, my neck was already irritated. And then we were surfing Greenbush, not big, but I mean heavy. Greenbush is always heavy. Um, and I came to pull up and under so I'm a natural footer, so my backhand. And I just kind of mistimed it a little. It didn't throw as wide as I was expecting. And so literally caught a lip straight to the side of my head.
yeah,
And so that, then the hitting somewhere in that, and then the head hitting the water, just boom, new disc bulge. That's what happens when you get old, bro. Embrace your youth.
yeah. I'm staying young forever. I'm not doing it.
Uh,
Not growing
so
up.
yeah, I was the other thing I was gonna say for mechanics. Are you visual? Do you learn well visually?
I do. Yeah.
So an easy one, man, is download a Mikey February or a Torrin Martin video
Mm-hmm.
and just flip it so that then become a goofy footer.
Okay.
I can look at goofy footers and make sense of a goofy footer to me being a natural footer. Some people can't. Some people have to see it with their representation. So whatever works for you. But they're often, I mean, Torrin Martin for sure is always surfing longer boards. February is fairly frequently, but they're good to watch because since they're on longer boards, everything's way more drawn out. And so you can see things for longer periods of time. And so just start letting their surfing start seeping into your brain of holding arm positions, being soft, slowing things down a bit. And then again, if you can get on a bit longer of a surfboard, that could be super helpful, man.
Yeah.
Um,
Epic. Sweet.
but yeah, dude, let me know how it goes, man. If any questions come up, happy to help, bro. Happy to lend insight.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I got one more question, just sort of on the
Yeah, yeah.
business side of things, because I'm
Sure.
like promoting the app through YouTube and everything.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, I was just curious if you'd be open to do stuff like through Instagram and almost uh in a
For
way
sure.
like sponsor the progression. I think it could be like sort of like the perfect
100%, dude.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
sick.
I'm so open to all that stuff. Like I'm easy, man. You've
Okay.
probably dealt mostly with Alexa up to this point, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Yeah. So I'm down with that. I'll send her a message today. I'm really open to any of that shit. There'd be very few things where I'd be like a hard no, but
Hmm.
just if something was like crazy not on brand or like
Yeah.
potentially offensive, but all that stuff, man, absolutely, dude. No qualms whatsoever. Go for it.
Yeah.
Message to Alexa. You've got my WhatsApp number now, so don't hesitate to reach out to me and ask me some stuff directly. No big
Sweet.
deal.
Yeah. Sounds good, man. Thanks, Chris.
Cool, dude. Absolutely, bro. Enjoy Nika.
All right. Will do. Catch up.
Cheers, dude.